Hi friends, welcome back to my Floss tube. My name is Sarah and this is my channel, The Rocking Chair Stitcher. It has been a little break and I am so glad to be back and to be filling a floss tube. We are now settled-ish in our home in Ontario. We settled about 20 minutes outside of the city of Woodstock, Ontario. And we are loving our new neighborhood. We are starting to love our home. We have been renovating for the past month almost now, 3.5 weeks, something like that, since we bought the home. It is an 1890s farmhouse and it is old. Every bit that 1890s, so however many decades that is, it holds a lot of history, a lot of stories. We've been busy ripping out drywall and lath and plaster, and you pull off the lath and plaster and then there's like a hay bale's worth of hay shoved in the ceiling for insulation. So there's just a lot of old history. We think we found some hand-painted wallpaper, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we are exhausted, but it's a happy exhaustion. It's a beautiful home and it's slowly becoming ours. I'm sitting in my new rocking chair, which you can't really see very much yet. Maybe I'll get a picture of it. And pretty new drapes in our bedroom. Last night was our first night in the house. We've been camping in our camper trailer in the backyard, which has been an adventure all in its own, learning when to empty the water tanks and such like that so you don't get water backing up into the trailer. We've had that happen more than one time. So it's just, it's been 2 months, I think, since I last filmed. My last video was not on this channel. It was with my friend Darlene. We used to be neighbors. Hi Darlene. So if you go over to her channel, Darlene Dion Designs, you can see that video we did together and it was a hoot. We laughed plenty on the video, but even more off video when we were just chatting. So I'm really glad. We've been saying for a while we were going to do that together. So I'm really glad we made it happen before I moved. So this video is special because it is a little bit belated, but it is my floss tube anniversary. And I'm really excited because I have 2 things planned for this video that I'm excited to share with you. So the very first thing is I would like to do a giveaway to one person who will do comment down below, and I'll do a random name picker, and whoever that person is gets to pick one pattern from my Etsy shop, whichever one they would like. So I'm very excited to do this giveaway, and it's just a little thank you for joining along with me over the past year and just a little bit. September 1st was my 1 year of floss tube, and I was so trying to get a floss tube film that day. That was my plan in my head, but we had just bought the house 2 days before, and floss tube anniversary is also my birthday because I started it on the same day. So Josh surprised me with a trip to the local fair, which was so sweet because our little guy Justin loved the bumblebee ride. So he and I rode that multiple times, like this bumblebee that takes you up in the air and goes around, and oh, it's way more fun than the thrills of a roller coaster watching my son light up doing something like that. So it was awesome. Josh enjoyed all kinds of different fair foods. I tried something new. Josh is not a ride rider, that's why. I tried something. I tried freeze-dried candy, which was interesting. I feel like kids would love it. Or if you're an adult with a, really sweet tooth, probably too. I tend to enjoy just a little bit of sweet in comparison to I could eat salty all day long. So, but it was okay. It was interesting. But I got henna on my hand for the first time. It's something I've always wanted to do. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. So it was just overall a really good day, but it meant I did not get a floss tube filmed. So here I am now at end of September. The autumn feel has actually finally started to settle in, which is interesting. It depends where you live in Canada when that feel of autumn comes in. Growing up in the South in the US, autumn didn't really ever feel cold. It almost just kind of skipped from autumn weather, like I think of it now, like that cooler temperatures, need sweaters, scarves, really was more like December on, which is by that point almost winter. So it's funny because when I lived in Ontario years ago, I lived not North Ontario for most people, what they would call North, but more northern than where we are now. And that second to last week of August or so, you started to feel that kind of chillier, cooler breeze start to come in. It was cooler in the evenings. You didn't really want to go swimming except for at like the hottest part of the day, that kind of thing. So I was used to falls coming much earlier, and then Nova Scotia was different. This part of Ontario is different. So what I'm learning is it's very much very geographically affected, and what am I trying to say? Autumn comes at different times depending on where you are here, and I guess it is everywhere, but it is starting now to me to feel like autumn, which is exciting because I love this time of year. Absolutely love it. Love everything about it. I love the traditional foods and the more modern pumpkin spice everything. Like, I just love it. It makes that nesting in and getting cozy, turning off the overhead light and put on your little lamp and light a candle, that kind of thing, to me is like, oh, I can rest. I also think it gives us permission to rest in a different way. So the first thing that I mentioned was the one surprise. I want to do a giveaway. So the word we're going to use is anniversary, since it's my floss tube anniversary. So all the things must be over 18. Don't say giveaway, all that kind of stuff. Use the word anniversary in your comment down below, and if your name is picked, then you will get to pick one pattern from my Etsy shop, whichever one you like. And they're all PDFs, so I will just email it right to you. The other thing I wanted to do is a little WIP parade. I don't know if I've ever done this. I don't think when I started my channel that I really understood what a WIP parade was. I did not realize people had as many WIPs as they do. So I was thinking about how do I want to do my video, and it's been a little while, so I have a bit of stitching. I've not stitched anywhere near as much as I usually do and would like, just because life and we're renovating and yeah, all of that. But I have gotten some stitching done, so I want to show you that. And then once I finish with the current WIPs that I've got progress on that you've been seeing recently that I want to show you, I thought I would just go ahead and show you the other WIPs that I have that haven't had much love lately, hoping to get back to. But before we start on my current WIPs and then the rest of the WIPs, I did have two finishes that I wanted to tell you about. I stitched, and I have a computer now, so I'm hoping that I can upload a picture and put it here on the screen. But if not, I'll at least add a link down below in the description for the pattern. And if worse comes to worse and there's no info, just message me on Instagram. I'm sure it's on my Instagram profile somewhere. But I participated in the Canada Swaps exchange that went that happened at the beginning of September. So we were stitching. I started stitching in August, and it was actually, I had a little bit of a break while we were waiting to get possession of the house, but we were already in Ontario staying with family, and so it was great because it kept me busy working on my small while I was like just excited and ready, like let's get in the house and like get going, because we knew we needed to do renovations. So I stitched the pattern by TinyModernist, and it, oh my goodness, I thought I had it right here. I believe it's called Schoolhouse Mouse, but I will put it down in the description for sure. So, and I will also include a photo here. This was my small for the Canada Swaps exchange, and it was so fun to stitch. I definitely want to stitch more of TinyModernist little mouse series in the future because it was adorable and it came together so quickly. And the fun thing about this stitch, I'm just looking at the image of it on my phone so I can explain it better. The fun thing about this stitch is now that we're back in Ontario, I was able to pick up a bunch of my inherited fabric. So when my Nana passed, she left behind a small quilt shop's worth of craft supplies, and I inherited a fair amount of it. So I was able to use a little bit of that. So my mother-in-law had the black fabric backing that was the little Schoolhouse numbers and stuff, so I used that. And then the heart, I tried the method so I could add the lace that you see on the picture. I used the method where you sew the entire pillow from the inside out, and so then you cut, it's inside out when it's finished, so then you cut the back, flip it right side out, stuff it, and then you have a little hole that you have to sew or patch. And so I thought, oh, I'll do the patch. So the little red heart is fabric from my Nana stash, and then the lace that you see around it is actually lace that my mother-in-law had from her mom from when she was a little girl, that they would have bought in somewhere. I think she said Hamilton, at a factory. I don't think it exists anymore. So it's vintage lace. The fabric is from my Nana. The lace is from Josh's grandma, who just passed not too long ago. And so it just felt like a cool coming together to make this little pillow. So I hope the lady that got it enjoys it. And it was a lot of fun to make. The other thing that I finished, which I don't have with me because it was a gift, I will pop a picture up hopefully here, is my new pattern that you'll find in my Etsy shop called Stitchy Friends. This is something that I designed back in June or July. We've known for a while that we were going to be moving, and then this summer we knew that our house was under contract and going to be selling, and I wanted to stitch something specifically for my friend Darlene, who I mentioned earlier. She's pretty much the reason I got into cross stitching. I had tried a little cross stitch on my own that I had just found at the thrift store, but I watched her floss tubes, and then all of a sudden I got sucked into floss tube and started trying other cross stitches like little kits. And last summer, so summer 2023, really got bit by the stitch bug, and then it just exploded from there. But I just wanted to make a little something for Darlene as a little I'll see you later gift as we were parting. I did not get to get it finished. I had it probably a quarter of the way stitched before we moved, and I was like, oh darn it, it's not ready. So we had friends who came out to Ontario in August, and so we met up with them to hang out, and while they were here I sent that gift back for Darlene as just a little love you miss you kind of gift. And I just thought, oh, Stitchy Friends, that's a common phrase. At least I think it is in the cross stitch world, but to me it is for sure. Like when I talk about, oh, I was talking to my stitchy friends, you know. So I wanted to design something sweet like that, and then just this image of ladies in formal gowns, thinking about when it was used to be way back, used to be really common for women to stitch, and they would probably get together to stitch, that kind of thing, and the ladies in those dresses just came to mind. So that's where the pattern came from, and it is in honor of my friendship with Darlene. And if you need a small, it is a very small little pattern, so it's available in my Etsy shop if you're interested. So that is all of my updates and announcements, and I think I will just get right into showing you what I have been working on. So I have been working on a little Mod Podge of things, but I will just show you. I don't remember what order I worked on these, and my poor book of days has been used and then not used and used and not used. So I'm hoping now this week I can really start to fill it out again, because I have a pen handy and the book in the place where I stitch, all that. So I have been working a little bit on Martha's Sampler, which is Josh's grandmother. I've talked about this before. You can find more about it in some of my other videos. But Josh's grandmother stitched this sampler, so this is like a reproduction of it. I have charted it for me and for you. It's in my shop. But she stitched this in oh goodness gracious, do I have my year on? I don't have my year on there yet. She stitched this during the war in Holland, or right after. So this was her high school sampler, and the original is framed on my mother-in-law's wall in her craft room, and when I saw it I was like, can I chart that? So it is originally charted as an embroidery pattern, but I charted it as a cross stitch pattern, and there's a whack ton of borders to come at the top, but I've gotten some progress a little bit more. I don't know if this is focusing here. There you go. Gotten some progress there. So I'm hoping to dedicate more time to that one this fall, because I really, really, really want it up on my wall, because I absolutely adore this sampler. I pulled out a pattern that I have not worked on in what feels like eons, but I stitched on it some this week, and that is 100 Owls. So if you've been with me from my very first episode, you'll know that this was my birthday start last year, and I had this grand ambition that I was going to stitch, I think there's 100 owls, right? So I was gonna stitch like 2 owls a week or some crazy idea like that, trying to get it finished in 1 year. I don't know why. I think, you know, sometimes you can get almost like in the mentality of like, gotta complete things fast. And it's like, who cares? It's a hobby. I love it. So I worked this week. Let's see if we can get this to focus. I don't know. I worked this week on some of the florals right in here amongst the owl. And then completed some of the shading and the yellow coloring in the eyes. And then I put in this tiny little guy here. I think there's a focus feature on my camera that's focusing on my face instead of my stitching. Is that in focus, guys? I don't know. So this tiny little owl here, got him in there. New setup. We'll figure this out. So I got one little owl in there, and there's another little buddy that needs to go in there with him. And then the reason I didn't finish working on this owl right now is because the 2 colors I needed to finish him off I didn't have with me in the house, but I think they were out in the camper, and I think I now have them in place. So I'm going to look through those later today and hopefully get to continue stitching on him. But if not, I'll place an order and get the colors I need. So then the next one I've been stitching on, I'm just going to pull up the name here. This one is a gift for a new niece that's coming. And so this is a birth sampler that I've been working on. So for me, everyone's different, right? Just trying to pull up that pattern. Okay, I cannot find it on there, so I will just include it on the screen or in the description. If you're interested in the pattern, you can find it there. So for me, remembering to pray for someone specific is not always easy for me to remember to do, so I have to do things to keep myself intentional about it. So in praying for my sister-in-law and the baby, I have been stitching this, and as I stitch, I pray for them, for the safety of the baby and the health and the delivery. And it's good because this pattern is beautiful and so confetti heavy that I get frustrated. So when I refocus my mind on, okay, I'm not going to be frustrated even if it takes a while and it is not stitching it as simply as I thought it would, I'm just going to focus on praying for them. So that is what I do, and it's a good lesson in self-discipline to keep going on it. It is beautiful though, and I absolutely love it. And I cannot think of the name of the pattern to save my life right now, but I will include it down below. But it is really, really pretty. I like how it's turning out. This is the top portion, so I just have a little bit more work to do filling in the butterfly. Something I am noticing is one of the symbols does not have a color identified with the symbol in the legend, and it is frequently on the chart that I need to do some fill-in. So my plan is to contact the shop on Etsy and just make sure I'm understanding the pattern correctly, or find out what the correction might need to be. But it basically repeats this border all the way around, and then there'll be a space in the center to add the baby's name. So yeah, this one is, it's not my favorite thing to stitch because of how broken up each piece is. At first that was really satisfying, and then quickly it was like, gotta switch needle again. So I was telling Josh the other day, I was like, maybe what I need to do is just buy some extra needles and thread each needle with the different colors, like that I'm like majority stitching, like switching between. And that way it would be just quick, oh, pick up the next needle kind of thing. But it's kind of hard because the fabric is, I don't know if the light's shining through, if you can see it or not, but the fabric, you can't really carry your colors well because just carry it across, because you will see, because a lot of the colors are very bold and dark. So anyway, it's a lesson in patience and discipline to continue working on it. But I am very excited. It will be so worth it when it is time to give it to them in honor of their baby. So the last one I'm working on is called Need a Paddle, and I have not stitched on this and I cannot even tell you how long. But I picked it back up because I needed something that was almost mindless, because there's a lot of fill-in stitching in this pattern. So this one is designed for another sister, and it is I don't have a specific occasion in mind. She just loves to teach canoeing. And so I saw a picture on Pinterest of some paddles that were really prettily, sorry, I got that itchy nose thing going on, were really pretty how they were painted. And so like a year or so ago, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks like a cross stitch pattern to me. And so I started drawing up a couple of mock-ups of designs on paddles, and this pattern came to be. So this pattern will have, I have more fabric, as you can see. This pattern will have 3 more paddles, and each paddle has its own little design. And I tried to pick some colors that kind of coordinated with something significant to her. And so this pattern is not in my shop yet, as this will be the illustrative stitch as well for my cover photo for it. So at some point it will, and actually I owe a copy of this pattern to someone. It's just jogging that memory. But I am enjoying stitching it. It is really simple stitching, and I like the way it's turning out. So I can imagine it in a cute little like camping themed kind of frame or something. Anyway, I've got a little bit of time because I don't have her for Christmas for like another 2 years, I think, because we do an exchange. So it might just be a birthday gift, I don't know. But anyway, so that is my current stitching on my current WIPs that I've pulled out or been working on for a while. So I have the other WIPs now that I thought I would share with you. I tried to keep a cover image of each one with me in my pile here, but you know. So I will put the information down in the description, and if I can, I'll put stuff up on the screen, like I said. Anyway, so this one is a new creation studio pattern. It's called My Soul Finds Rest, and I started this back in December or January. So I've made decent progress, and then it just got tucked away. It is such a beautiful pattern. All of her patterns are, though. I absolutely love stitching her stuff. So it is working up really nicely. This one will be a gift for a friend if I ever get it finished. So I really should put this back in the rotation. I would love to know down below in the comments if you do the stitch bingo. I cannot think what it's called. There is such a name for it. I've heard it so many times. You know what I'm talking about, though, I'm sure. So I would love to know if you do it, and if you've tried it before and aren't doing it, why? Or like, do you like it, or do you prefer just to kind of do your own thing? Because I kind of think I almost need a little more structure. Because the only structure I have in my stitching is if I'm like working hard to finish a pattern in time for a due date, like for a baby shower, or for a gift or whatever. But beyond that, I just stitch willy-nilly whatever I'm feeling like. And so I'm wondering, maybe a little bit of structure wouldn't be bad, because I kind of like structure. So anyway, so the next one I have been stitching, one of my WIPs that I haven't stitched in probably 3 months now, but I was stitching, looks like I've done nothing on it, but I was stitching quite consistently for a week or 2, or maybe 3 even, on this. So it's a dimensions kit. It is the Coffee Shop Cafe. The coffee shop, I guess cafe is the French part. So it is a gorgeous pattern. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, I absolutely want to stitch that. And I'm not usually a kit stitcher. I usually get my own fabric pattern, floss, kit it up. So I haven't done a ton of the dimensions ones since like right at the beginning when I started stitching. And but when I saw this one, I saw, I cannot remember her handle, Exo Needle, oh, I'm sorry, something like that. She was stitching it, and I was like, oh, I need to stitch that. It's beautiful. So this one is on my list in my head to start working on again this autumn, like late autumn, so that way maybe I could have it out for Christmas. I don't know. But there is another one, like another part, I don't know, another one that goes in this series that I already am eyeing. So I'm like, okay, self-discipline, do not buy that until you finish stitching this. So it will get done at some point, but that one's really pretty. It's also extremely confetti heavy. This one, when I pulled it out today when I was going through all my WIPs, I was like, oh, I need to stitch this. This one is Autumn Glows by Little Dove Designs. And can see I've torn the paper to write a note somewhere, I'm sure, and hand it off to someone. But I love everything about this. It is also like confetti heavy, but like you can do a lot more with one color floss. Like continue for quite a while. So this is where I got to last fall. I stitched on this, not monogamously, but pretty consistently last fall, and then got sick of it and got sick of everything autumn, was ready to go on to Christmas stuff, and I really jumped headfirst into Christmas. So I'm excited to slow my roll a little bit this fall and maybe focus on this and some other fall pieces and just kind of enjoy fall. Last year I was just like eager for Christmas and I decorated like in November. But this year, I think maybe being amongst the renos too, I'm just enjoying getting outside more instead of being inside amongst all the reno stuff when there's not something I need to be working on. And I know that it's going to be a while before I can decorate for Christmas, if even this year. So I'm like, let's just enjoy autumn. Let's enjoy the chance to be outside while we still can. So I just love this stitch. I think it's super, super pretty. And I am very excited to finish it and eventually have it up on my wall framed. So yeah, I'm going to put this in my active WIPs pile so that I remember I want to start working on it. Maybe I'll work on that tonight. That would be kind of fun. This is my Woman in a Field of Flowers. I don't remember which number in the series it is. Josh gifted me this for Christmas last year, and I don't even think this one counts as a WIP. My battery is dying, so we'll see if we get much more filming here. This is my start! Okay, camera battery died, so I've just switched it out. I had to creep past my son's bedroom, and thankfully I did not wake him up, so he's still napping. So this is my start on Woman in a Field of Flowers, and I was determined to start it on Christmas Day when I got it, to say that it was my Christmas start, and then it became my Christmas start and end and finish and forever and ever, amen. So I really want to stitch it. I have two hang-ups in my head. They're gonna sound ridiculous. So when I originally saw the Woman in a Field of Flowers pattern start coming out, I saw the one of, it's heavily black and yellow. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's like probably 50 different shades of black and yellow. And I fell in love with it, and so did Josh. I was in a swap exchange thing where you made a list of your favorite patterns and they picked one, that kind of thing. And because I had put it on my list, I didn't put it on my Christmas list, but I put a different Woman in a Field of Flowers on my list because I didn't want to accidentally end up with the same one twice. Well, I didn't end up with that pattern, and I did end up with this one as a Christmas gift. And my problem is, I'm like, this is going to take me 50,000 years to stitch, and I probably will only ever do one of these women in my life. So I'm like, should I go back and stitch the other one? But I got the fabric and all of the floss and the pattern for this one. And I'm like, but I could gift it to someone else or put it somewhere else in my house. Like, it's not the type of art I'm usually drawn to, but something about them I love. So I'm like, would I ever actually dedicate the time and effort to stitch two of them? Or do I want to stitch the one that I loved even more than this one? I don't know if that makes any sense. Josh would say, you lost your mind, girl. No, actually, he would not say that at all. That's what I say in my head. I'm like, oh my goodness. So now I'm like, do I try to stitch both? I don't know. So the other thing is I'm doing 1/1, and it is very tiny and hard to see. And I've been chit-chatting with Josh, and I might buy a Bright Tech magnifier with light, the floor stand one. And if I do, then I can stitch smaller, but my eyes don't allow for this size stitching almost at all, I'm realizing, without something like that. So this one is probably not going to get picked up still for quite some time. Oh, lovely cat here. Because I'm still undetermined. So I'm curious, hearing my ramble of a story of why I have not continued on it. Would you keep stitching this one, or would you go do the other one? Would you attempt to do both? Because like I love different things about both of them. But anyway, so that's the story, the saga of Woman in a Field of Flowers. But anyway, it was still one of the sweetest gifts ever. Josh helped me on Christmas Day while Justin was napping, he helped me. We sat and watched a girly movie. I think we watched Little Women. Like the 90s version. I don't think it was the newer one. But anyway, watched Little Women, and he helped me bobbinate like probably 50 or 60 of the 125 called for colors. So yeah, kudos, props to him, because that was a cool Christmas gift. Right on target. So anyway, the next WIP I have was a Sal. I don't know the name, but I will include it. And I only got one part done, and not even completely, because it's supposed to be more flowers. So it is a really cute pattern, and it has a really small house. And I don't know, but I think the pattern has been released for anyone now, because it was like a stitch along mystery Sal. But don't quote me on that, you'll have to double check. But yeah, so this one just got set on the side burner this spring when there was so much going on with the renovations on our last house to get ready to sell it. But it will eventually get done. It may get tucked away until next spring, because it has very spring summer vibes. So I am not a dedicated seasonal stitcher, but I definitely lean that way more and more, I think. This is a pattern that I designed last winter called Vintage Ribbons, and this poor thing has not seen the light of day in quite a while. Still really like it, and I think I'll probably focus on it again after winter, like Christmas stitching, because to me I picked this blue. It's very light in this. It's a little darker, it's a little more icy, but I picked this blue because it just reminded me of snow in winter time, and like a fresh snow, bright sunny day on the snow kind of day. Yeah, so still really like it. It's just has not seen any love in a long time, but at some point it will again. But yeah. And then I have, oh, the bag for it. I just have one more. This was the one that got all my giggles last time because I'm 5 years old. This is a pattern by Design Works, and it's called My Day Off. And this is the lady in a bathtub, and she has her cat, her undies draped over the edge, and an entire cake. Although it is smaller, it doesn't look like a massive birthday cake, but she has her own cake and her glass of wine in the bathtub. I'm like, that is the way to take a bath, just saying. So I've actually thought about this pattern multiple times, and then I wanted to get back to stitching on it, but it was never in the right. I had some of my stitching with me in the trailer while we were in this transition period, but now I have all my stitching back together, so I can start to get a bit more organized and stitch on whatever I want when I want, because I don't have to go searching through different vehicles or the house versus the trailer. Anyway, so it's still in the hoop, but you can see I've got the outline, and I'm filled in. It's hard to see because it's all white, or like a creamy white, but I've gotten filled into right here on the bathtub from here to here. So there's more bathtub still to go. You can see, well, the hoop is covering it, but her little toes and her feet are poking there. We've got the cute little kitty cat and her undies, and most of the wine bottle is, no, all the wine bottle's done. Oh, there's some fuzzy on here. And I've started the base like where the Victrola player is, and this is also the base of the cake. So, and you can start to see her arm here as well. So when I'm stitching on her, I enjoy it so much, so I just need to remember to actually pick her back up. But yeah, this one is totally in honor of my Nana. This was totally her style, very eclectic, all kinds of different things. I'm still reserving that other pattern that I told you about. I don't think I have it on hand. I think I'm going to keep it as a surprise because it still makes me giggle. That is the pair to this one, and it is a little too eclectic for me, but I think someone will probably enjoy it. So whenever we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will send it in the mail to whoever wins that giveaway at some point. But that one will make you giggle because it's just, well, you didn't know her, but it's just so Nana. Like, forever. Nana would come once a year when I was a child, and she would come for a visit, and we were forever going to fabric stores, pottery shops, art places. I remember her taking us to art museums, that kind of thing. So very cultural, like cultured kind of activities, and learning about art and different artists and cultures that bring into art and all those things, which was so not the world I lived in. Nana wasn't like the snuggly, come sit in my lap kind of grandma Nana, but she loved us in the way she knew how, and one of those ways was to show us art and to teach us an appreciation for things that people create with their hands, which is probably a big part of why I love to craft. So anyway, this will eventually get finished and up on a wall somewhere in honor of my Nana. And that is all of my current stitches and all of my WIPs. I did not count, so I think I'm maybe just over 10. I'm not sure. So I have some plans. I'll pull up here for you the photo. I have been back and forth on starting our son's birth sampler. So I talked about this last fall. We adopted our son, and I felt really sad that I did not have anything to kind of mark his birth past some photos and a video, which I'm very grateful for, and that's a lot more than what a lot of people get when they're in an adoptive situation. So if I can find, I feel like Etsy's really weird today. Where is my purchases? Just trying to find the new pattern I got. So we decided to do Justin's bedroom in an underwater theme. So kind of like ocean animals. Justin loves water. He doesn't always care about animals, but he absolutely loves water. And when we were talking about how do we want to decorate his room, like that kind of thing, I was like, what if we did like an underwater kind of theme? So anyway, he loves sensory, and eventually I want to put like a bubble tube and things like that in his room. And so I was like, oh, it all just leans towards water themes. So this is the pattern we just got. I had purchased, if you've seen in the past, I don't remember what month, I purchased a pattern online with a little bear and like all of the framing for putting in a child's details for a birth sampler. But it never really felt like the right one. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I just was always like, I don't know, just I'm not inspired to start stitching it for him. And that kind of creates a problem when you want to have one for him. So Josh and I were talking, and since we had decided on doing kind of an underwater theme, we decided on this pattern, which is not a birth sampler, but we both loved it, and I thought, okay, I can just add whatever details that we want to it, his name, date of birth, that kind of thing. So we chose this pattern, which is just the cutest thing, right? Like, it reminded me of a couple of things, kind of like Peter Pan, how they're up in the sky. It's just that kind of whole fairy tale world. I loved the whale. I don't know if it's focusing or not. I may also throw a picture up on the screen if I can. So it reminded me of like how they fly through the sky, and just the artwork reminded me of kind of that children's whimsical night sky kind of feel. And then the whale brings in the underwater element, and also just the moon. It just has like a very dreamy, I don't know, it just was it. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm excited to stitch that for him. So that will be a fun one to start. I don't know if I'll stitch it on the brown or not. I kind of like it. His room is like, it's kind of the same color wall as in here, or it's the exact same color, it just shows up different because of the lighting. But it's kind of like a very light beigey cream. It's called Baby Fawn. So I don't know if this is too red, but I'm gonna do a little mix and matching with floss and material to see what will look good, and hopefully start stitching that. I would really like to add that into my non-organized, non-bingo rotation this fall. So that is my stitching plans at this point. I think I acquired some fabric at the dollar store when I was putting together a package for someone. I didn't have enough room. It was an envelope, and I didn't have enough room for one of the fat quarters, so I kept it for me. My envelope was absolutely stuffed to the max, but I do not know where that is right now because this is about the only organized corner in the house. Everything else is still boxes for the most part. So at some point I'm sure I'll show you that. Another thing I wasn't sure when to include or where to include, or if I will, I have all of that fabric now from my Nana, which it's not cross stitch fabric, but at some point I will be using it over the years, I'm sure, to make finishing or to assist in finishing cross stitches and such. So I was wondering, do you guys want to see a little video? It wouldn't be as long as a floss tube, but a little video, like an extra or something, of my new fabric stash. Yeah, so if that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Yeah, I don't know when that would be, but there's a lot of it and all kinds of different patterns, so might be fun to see. I think that is everything I have to share, but I appreciate your patience while I've been gone the last 2 months. And I'm really excited to be back. I have enjoyed this last year of doing floss tube, talking with you guys, the ups and the downs that anybody goes through in their regular life. We don't always know about when we watch someone on floss tube, and I try to keep it real without getting too deep into things. But I have just had kind messages and encouragement and people letting me know they're praying for me about different things over the year, in losing Josh's dad and in losing Josh's grandma, and in the move and transitions with our son. And so it's been quite a year, but I have found floss tube to be quite therapeutic. And just, I am so grateful for this community and how sweet you guys are, how generous. Yeah, it is a joy to my heart. So I just remembered I did receive one other thing that was a giveaway I won, and it's not my stitch tote, so it is probably out in the camper. But a huge thank you, if she ever sees this video, a huge thank you to Helen D. I love watching her channel. I don't miss a video. I watch them all. And she always has such generous giveaways that she gives away. And I won one, and it's this little fairy village, sea fairy village or something like that. It's a tiny little fairy village by the ocean, which I thought was so appropriate because we just left living by the ocean. So I will get that with my stitching stuff for next time, so I can show it to you. But a huge thank you for that giveaway. That was really fun to win. That's my first giveaway I've won. So yeah, anyway, I hope that you enjoy your stitching time and your floss tube time, and I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.